Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. The podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. This week is also a little bit different, if you might notice. John is also going to be away on a different mic this time, so we're Zooming it this week. Say hi, John.
Hey, guys. We had family, and then we had a COVID scare, so I can't get tested because of the holidays until Monday. So just to be safe,
Woo!
We're keep it separated. Anyway,
that's all. Hey, don't get us copyright struck already for this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
we're gonna demonetize on YouTube for this. So if you keep singing. Anyway, this week we are reading Battlepug by Mike Norton, which was a listener request who was one of our tier members on our coffee support page.
Shout out to Otaku Mike.
Otaku Mike, shout out. So he became a member on our blue and gold tier, and on that tier you can suggest whatever you want us to read, and I guess maybe barring some certain things we will read it. So I don't know what could potentially be on the not read list, but some weird hentai or
maybe some snuff comic or something. Yeah. Some underground snuff comic. I don't know what it would
who
be.
Who knows?
But in general.
But so he requested this, so we're reading it. And John, you had read this before, right? Or you had read some of it.
Yeah, I had read the first 3 or 4 issues, so I had a little bit of story. Yeah, full disclosure, I'm a big pug fan. I like pugs. They're adorable. I know they come with a lot of health issues, and there's a lot of things that are bred throughout, but they're cute dogs. Anyway, but Matt had seen this randomly when he went out comic book shopping, and he was so nice to pick me up a copy, and then it kept a few going, and I liked it. It was fun. It's like Conan, but he has a pug instead of like a horse to ride on.
Yeah,
as a companion.
That was my intrigue with it. Was like, oh, it looks like from the cover. Should just say it looks like Conan the Barbarian on top of a giant pug as like his steed, and his war
giant
steed.
Pug.
Yeah,
it's like the big cat in I'm not Highlander. The cartoon. What's the cartoon with the He-Man? There you go. Wow.
Oh, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So
he's got the big cat he rides.
Okay, I never.
That's what it made me think of.
Never watched it. So. I was gonna say Princess Mononoke because she rides on big wolves or whatever.
There you go.
So yeah, but anyway, so this was the compendium actually, which is the complete adventures, I guess, of Battlepug.
I think you mean the compugnium.
I'm sorry, compugnium. My bad. I just you read a word, your brain says what it is without even
fixes it to the correct way.
Exactly, it auto corrects for you. So this is the Compendium, and like we said, it's by Mike Norton, and I think this was originally like a web comic or something that he was putting out, and then it got popular, and he eventually brought it to Image and then printed it. And the cool thing about this is if you buy it in actual hardcover form, it's like a widescreen comic, so it's like super wide, like each page is a double page spread kind of thing. Just like 300 is. So
yeah,
it feels very epic and is actually quite enjoyable to read like that, just because it's so easy to read each page. There's no like tiny panels. It's all like giant scale stuff. So
yeah,
which
and with
the giant pugs, right?
Exactly. I was gonna say with this being like a grandiose kind of like epic battles and on the plains and whatever running around, like it fits really well with this. So.
Right. So this comes in chapters. So the first chapter is called Blood and Drool, of course. And we start off with, John's going to have to help me with the names here because I don't remember anybody's names in this except Actually, no, I don't remember anyone's names in this.
I was like, except the naked lady.
Yeah, there is a naked lady that we start off with, and she's in like a palace somewhere, and she's naked on her bed in like, you know, the tallest tower, and she's talking to her two dogs. What are their names? Colfax.
So Colfax is a Frenchie, and Mingo is the pug.
Yes.
And these animals also talk. So right away you're like, okay, like there's definitely something different about this this place.
Yeah.
I got half naked or full naked ladies. I mean, it's I don't know. We were kind of talking about this a little offhand, like who this comic is like kind of like pointed towards is a little in the muddy water, because there's like it never really shows anything explicitly, but like
you see a butt. Like you see a butt every now
I guess
and then,
you see a butt, but like it's still like it gets right on the edge of like risque in some of the, especially drawings, sometimes jokes, but then there's like, you know, there's some kiddie humor, and then it's got some talking animals, and so I don't know, it's a little, but I mean it was fun. It's fun. So
yeah, I felt by the time I got to the end of it that it all made sense, and I would give this to like a teenager probably. Like I'd say if you were in high school or maybe like late middle school, it would be fine to read or whatever. Like for most parents, I would think, unless your parents are just like, whatever, read whatever you want. And so you're a 5-year-old, read this. Here you go. It's got dogs on it. but yeah, so she is is like going to tell these dogs the story of the warrior and Battlepug. And so we begin many years ago. It says there's like I don't know, a faraway tribe, one of the snow tribes, she says, in Kinmundian is the name of the area. And there's like a little boy and his mom, and they kind of look like Inuits or something, or like Eskimo people, where they live in like icy areas, and they have like little kind of igloo shaped huts, and made of skins and whatnot. And we see the father of this family is very like, this child is like not, you know, this boy is weak or whatever because he plays with dolls. He doesn't want to go hunting with his dad, but the mom kind of like protects him or whatever.
Yeah, why does he wants to spend all this time with his mom? Well, he can do that. We're going off to hunt.
Yeah. And when they go off to hunt, a giant seal attacks. Like when I say giant, I mean like Godzilla level, you know, kaiju white seal. So seabird.
Yeah, it's like a baby seal.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that is like, yeah, the size of like, yeah, like a Godzilla or something.
Yeah, it attacks and it tears apart the whole village, kills everybody except.
Mind you, it looks adorable the entire time it's doing this.
Right, yeah, it's just and like murdering everybody. And it kills everybody except the little boy. And then the little boy like finds a piece of wood, and he's floating in the freezing water, and he looks up and he sees a man riding a tiger with a saber-tooth helmet, or saber-tooth tiger skull for a helmet. He's got 3 scratches on his arm, and on his face, and he knows that is the man who destroyed my village and killed my mother. So that's all he cares about, revenge. So then the boy is like, he falls asleep in the snow, or I guess from like, you know, freezing and whatnot. He's got hypothermia. He's going to die, but he is found by some elves who are natives of a place called Winterland. And basically it's Santa's elves.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be all sweet. Like they're very holiday-esque colors, greens and reds, and then they take him to this like, you know, workshop, and it looks like there's like candy canes, and like it looks kind of pretty all around.
Yes, but when they bring him in front, of the king or whatever, and the king is Santa Claus, basically, he's like a skinnier Santa Claus, or he looks like a more badass Santa Claus, and then he just looks at the boy and says servitude, and so the boy becomes a slave for Santa, much like the other elves and whatnot, and basically he grows strong because he's toiling and doing all these chores and everything, and you know,
and they make him like
fires.
he plays in like reindeer games kind of. It's like kind of they have like gladiator
Reindeer
kind of
games.
fights.
I would.
That's
call
what I
them
call.
reindeer games.
That's what I would call them.
Okay. Yeah, reindeer games if they murdered each other.
Yeah.
So like real reindeer games where they're like fighting for the dough and they stab each other with their antlers and whatnot. So but yeah, so basically he becomes like a gladiator for the king or whatever, and that's how he grows big and strong, and he is set free eventually by the king. I can't remember why. Why does he get set?
Well, I guess outside of there's like an elf village and then like the main castle where Santa lives, and the village gets attacked by a older seal, and he's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Like all of these elves died, and so the little kid, well, the grown up now, he's like,
oh yeah, he's like full
big and
grown now.
buff.
He's probably like in his 20s now.
Yeah, so he's all big and buff, and so they just call him basically the Kinmundian.
Right. Kind of like Conan, where he's the Sumerian or whatever.
Sumerian.
So he's
like Santa, I have fought all these years and grown strong. If you set me free, I will, take care of this the seal problem of yours. And so he does. Yeah. And it's pretty awesome. He like jumps at him. It looks
with a candy cane.
A giant like candy cane. I assume he like just sticks it through his head or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but in a funny way. And then when he comes back, he's like covered in seal blood. And then the Santa Claus is like, "Oh my gosh, you're free now to become a citizen of the realm because you did such a good job." And you just see like the stone face on the Kinmundian, and he's like, and then you just see the next panel is like the whole village is burned down. So he murders everybody. He killed the king and everything. And then he travels south for weeks. And he's just trying to get his revenge basically on that guy that set the seal on everybody. Yeah, the scratched face man. And so he comes upon a village that's fairly empty, and he meets a dude that looks like a crazy homeless man. And the guy just says like scribbly, scrabbly, scribbly. And then when he talks, he's like, scribbly, none of your children are here, scrabbly. Like he has to always say one of those words at the end of his sentences.
He's a little goofy, but he seems like he was the town crazy that I guess lived, and but everybody here is gone apparently.
Yeah, and we find out that basically there's like an evil witch that's been like killing all the people and children in the village. So he's like, oh, I'll go kill that thing. So while he's looking for whatever killed it, he stumbles upon like a giant cemetery of bones and everything, just all these children's bones. Something's been eating them, and then he hears a noise, a wheeze and a snort, and another snort, and he turns around and there's a giant pug that's got very funny looking eyes, and it looks like the dumbest dog ever. Like just tongue hanging out of his mouth, just like, huh? Like,
oh, what's up?
Yeah. And he immediately thinks, because obviously all giant animals are like evil to him, so he immediately thinks this dog is the beast that killed everybody, and so he tries to kill it by flinging his sword at him. The dog just goes to play fetch with the sword as it misses him, so he goes to get it, and then all of a sudden he hears something talk, and he turns around, and it's actually like a big giant evil frog sorcerer or sorceress, and turns out that's what's been killing all the children, this frog.
She is the witch toad.
Yeah. And so she's like, I'll eat you. And she like gets the better of him in the fight. But then I thought this was funny. Just out of nowhere, the dog brings the sword back and stabs the like the sword's in his mouth he's holding it by the handle. And it just like, and then he just like stabs the frog, like runs into the back of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like he didn't even know what he did. Like he was just bringing back the sword.
Exactly. I imagine it was totally not intentional. He just like walking back and he's like, hey, what's going on? And just leans forward into the.
Yeah. So he's like, oh my God, this thing's going to attack me. And he's going to try to kill the pug again. Then he kind of hesitates. And then the pug licks his face. And he's like, huh. I guess this thing is okay. So then he cuts up the frog and gives it to the dog as like a thank you or whatever. And then So now we have the pug with the Kinmundian and or the Kinmundian, yeah.
Kinmundian, I guess, yeah.
And Scribbly is what they call him, the old man from the town, and they're kind of like buddies now. They're going to be travelers together, basically. And Scrabbly tells him about, I guess, the concept of like the magic in this world, where there are, we'll call them like elemental people, where they can like control rocks or control plants or control beasts. So basically we find out that the man that they're looking for, the what was his name, his actual name, or do you remember?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have it. I just had a little forward.
That's fine. He's like a beast master, basically.
Yeah.
When we come to it, we'll see him. But basically, yeah, he's looking for the man with the scratches on him. Catwolf. There you go. And Catwulf is how you spell his name. So
Catwolf.
He's like the most badass beastmaster ever. And it also turns out that one of the reasons why the pug likes our Kinmundian is that he is also a beastmaster. So the animals are drawn to him, even though he doesn't like the large animals. So now that we've been given that information, basically they're just going to find this guy. They go on their trip. They run into a couple people that are like, they have an evil look about them, but they're just like, oh, we have this chest, and we got stuck because there's this field of gophers, and they won't let us pass. And they're like, gophers? What are you talking about? And like, what are you doing out here? And they're like, oh, we're just walking, no problem, And but they look like toughs, like ruffians or whatever.
Yeah.
And Scribbly's like, what? Are you kidding me? Gophers? Like, what? Why are you scared of them? And then as he walks into the gopher field, all the gophers stick their heads up and then gather together in a giant gopher, I don't know, school or whatever, like monster.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, they all come together and form like a giant gopher kind of.
It's like Voltron, a Voltron gopher.
A Voltron gopher.
There you go. And it starts to chase Scribbly. But this is also like, it's weird because I guess we didn't know yet that he was a beastmaster, that the Kinmundian was, but he walks into the field to try to fight the gophers as well, and they all just skitter away, no problem. Like, they don't try to kill him at all. And then he like walks towards this like Stonehenge kind of arrangement and touches one of the rocks, and a giant, I don't know if it's a gopher or guinea pig. Or
if it's a gopher or a capybara.
Yeah, it looks like a capybara. There you go. A giant capybara spirit, comes out of the thing and says that it's like, you are like a warrior, a leader, an animal. Like you will if you seek a balance in nature, like you will be like empowered, and you will destroy who you want. But if you just go for revenge, like, it's going to be a problem. Like, you're going to die too, basically, in that fight. So you have to like try to create a balance, is what he tells him, and not just try to get revenge. And so that's like kind of the mission we get is that like, okay, now he's got like a spiritual mission too. Not just a revenge mission, but it's like, okay.
Yes, he must find the balance within all. Basically the balance within the rocks, the plants, and the animals. Like, that's the main three triangle of balance.
Exactly. And so they go to this kingdom, and before they do that, they actually do end up fighting those toughs, because it turns out they were stealing a box from a kingdom, right? Like,
something very they go to the kingdom and they find out, oh no, something was taken. So they're like, help us, and like, we'll help you on your quest too. So he goes back. He doesn't know what's in the box. He just knows something's stolen. So the Kinmundian goes back and they starts fighting them all, and the pug helps. The pug hits heads with one of the really big guys. Like, they run at each other and smack heads at each other.
I love that it actually doesn't knock out the pug.
Yeah, the pug's kind of like, oh.
The pug literally is like, poof, fall down. Like, but the guy also gets knocked out, so he does his job. But they break into the treasure chest, and they're expecting it to be like money and shit. And what they find is a little girl. So it turns out Catwolf paid these ruffians to steal this little girl from, and she's also the princess, I should say, of this kingdom.
Yes, her name is B-Y or Bryony. They said, the one guy says, like, is that like Brian? And she's like, no, it's like Bryony, I guess.
Brian.
That's how you would pronounce it? Bryony?
Bryony is what I thought it was. Like Brian.
Maybe Brian. I wasn't 100% how to pronounce it. So
yeah. It's like Bryony is what I thought it was. So they talk to her, and it turns out she is a plant mage. So she can like control, she's like Swamp Thing. She can like grow plants and attack, but there has to be like plants around for it to work, kind of thing. So
she's like 9 too, and she's also
a little girl.
Crazy foul mouthed. Like on the page, it puts a black bar over curse words, and every time she speaks, she has several in her word bubbles.
Yeah, she introduces herself by saying like, "My name is Bryony, you old beep." Like she just swears all the time, but she loves the pug, of course. So like they're pretty tight right away. She even explains like my name, because one of the guys is like, did she say her name was Brian? Like Scribbly's like Brian, and she's like, no, it's Brian with a Y, Bryony. So yeah. They explain how her name's pronounced, I guess. but yeah, so they're bringing her back to the castle where I guess the name of it is called Leamhan. Is that how it's pronounced?
Leamhan,
yeah. And so that's the kingdom or the castle that she was taken from. And by the time they get back, it's burned down. Turns out Catwolf sent people to like kill everybody there, burn the place down. And I guess so they killed her dad. So they fight these ruffians that were there to kill everybody. And all of a sudden, while they're fighting, there's like a small army, like maybe a battalion or something, or a couple platoons maybe of people there. And so they're kind of outmatched. And then all of a sudden, this woman comes out, and her name's Black Sasha, which I was like, it's like Red Sonja, but like Black Sasha. She's black, but they don't call her Black Sasha because she's black. They call her Black Sasha because she's so badass or whatever. Like she's I don't know what did they say? It was because of something like she just. Oh, isn't it because she like burned a town or something like that?
I think she took something down to like rubble and dust. So it's like the black as the earth or something.
Yeah. So she's like, she shows up, and our guy, the Kinmundian, doesn't know if she's good or bad. And also she doesn't know if they're good or bad because she just sees the girl with them and she thinks they're trying to kidnap her. And it turns out that that's actually the girl's mom. These guys are all fighting, and all of a sudden a giant salamander shows up. Like a giant, like another kaiju size one.
That is an axolotl, sir.
I'm sorry, whatever the fuck it is.
It is a great it's an endangered species that is also revered by the Aztecs. How dare you, sir? Dare you mischaracterize this animal? I'm kidding. No.
It's called an axolotl?
An axolotl or axolotl?
I don't fucking know.
I forget how you pronounce it. It's AXOLOT.
It looks like a salamander. That's right.
It does. It looks like a salamander. They got little like extra like fins.
I didn't know this was a real animal, so excuse me. Okay.
They're adorable. And they're completely harmless. But this one is giant and also breathes fire.
Yeah, I was like, do they all breathe fire for real? Or so it sounds like a fake animal to me, but whatever. So yeah, it's like a dragon or whatever, but the Kinmundian goes up and is like, I'll fight it. And as he's like talking about fighting it, I'm just gonna call it the salamander. That's easier. The salamander attacks him and just bites him in one bite, and like you think he's dead. Of course he's not, because he's the main hero, but everybody thinks he's dead and that he just got eaten. And then all of a sudden, as he's about to attack the pug, because the pug gets all pissed off and it's like ruff, 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 and trying to attack him because he hurt his master or whatever, the salamander looks kind of pained, maybe. You might say he's got
like, oh?
heartburn, is what I'd say. And all of a sudden, the Kinmundian just cuts himself out of the salamander and turns it, and kills him basically by doing that. So we're left with this whole ruins of cities, and all the people that were there that were like the cat wolf soldiers, they are gone. They left already, and we're just left with Black Sonia, Scribbly, the girl, Bryony, and Kinmundian, and her. And then they're searching through the rubble, trying to find the dad. And I thought this was funny, actually. They find the king, and he's like buried under all the rubble. And the little daughter's like, "Oh, I'll help you, Dad." And she takes all the rubble off of him, only to discover that he's just arrows all over, like 500 arrows into him.
Just filled with arrows, but you couldn't see it under the rubble. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but they're sticking up straight, like as if they had just shot him or something, but they were there underneath the rubble. So that was a funny reveal, I thought. So he
we're gonna die.
Yes.
Like, gasping for life and telling them like the last little like bit of strength he has.
Yes, and he's just like, "Stay close to Sasha, my dear, and protect each other." And so basically he says for sure it was Cat Wolf, so we know, okay, now the girl and Black Sasha are after Cat Wolf, and they're all ready to help him. Yeah. So everybody's got something against Cat Wolf. So then they go down like where they think he should be, but they're like, "There's no way he'd be here already." Like he's not gonna. It would be too easy if he's there, kind of thing. But lo and behold, they go to the coast where he was known to be like hanging out, and they find he actually is there. He's just waiting for them. It was kind of funny. I was like, they're already like gonna have a big fight, but it just kind of gives us a little. It's a fight, but it's like not really, because they don't. The Kinmundian and Cat Wolf don't fight too much, because Cat Wolf calls a giant hawk. I'm assuming, it's a hawk, right?
Yeah.
Like a giant hawk to come kill him. But that's when we find out, that's actually what Cat Wolf finds out, that he is also a Beastmaster, and he can like command the hawk to fly back and stuff. So that's what he does while he's flying on the hawk, or while he's up there in the sky with this hawk. On the ground, Black Sasha, the girl, and everybody are cornered by these giant spiders. And I thought it was funny, the pug bites the spider, one of the spiders.
Get those spiders. I just what you want your dogs to do. Get that spider.
Yeah, exactly.
don't let it eat me.
Yes. And Scribbly just runs away. I thought that was funny. He's just like, "Yuck, see ya," and just like leaves them hanging. And he's like on the dock, or he's like on the beach where there's like a dock ready to like go across this. I don't know if it's like a little sea or something, or it looks like bigger than a river. Maybe like a channel, like kind of like France to England or something like that, maybe. And it's weird. This is just out of nowhere, but there's like a ferry there, and that he runs up to, and who's manning it but two ghosts who are George Jefferson and Weezy Jefferson.
Who are the Jeffersons?
The Jeffersons, which I was like, what? And her name's, well, they can't say it obviously, but they look exactly like them. And her name is Lessa.
And his name is George's with the J-O-R.
Yes. So it's obviously George and Weezy Jefferson. But so they just like it seemed like they're trying to come up with like, a scheme to make money, or for some reason, because they're ghosts. So it's like, why would you need money? But it's just a joke they threw in there for fun. So while they're running away from the spiders, they're actually able to make it to this ferry, and they go, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe the Kinmundian's dead." And then they look up and they see the Falcon is with him, and Cat Wolf is on the Falcon too, because in the meantime he had like commanded the hawk to try to get Cat Wolf, and then Cat Wolf jumped on the hawk. So they're literally having a sword fight on the hawk, which is pretty crazy. And the Kinmundian, he hates these giant animals. So like while they're on this thing, Cat Wolf's like, "Haha, you can't fight me with regular weapons because I have the best weapons of all, these giant beasts." And the Kinmundian's like, "Well, I hate these giant beasts." And he stabs the bird in the head and kills it. And then the bird falls out of the sky, and they fall into the ocean. And this is the only thing I was like, how far did that dog fucking jump? Because they left Battlepug to fight the spiders, and it says with large eyes bulging, and then he jumps and catches the Kinmundian out of the air before he hits the water. But unlucky for him, pugs can't swim. Which they should let Milo and Otis know that, because
oh no, shh. We don't talk about that movie anymore.
Oh yeah, pug lovers aren't allowed to watch that movie anymore. Even though that's probably why a lot of people love pugs, but
probably. But yeah, that's
let's just say there was 20 Otises. All right.
Yeah, that was like the saddest fact to learn about like some kid movies from when we were kids. Like,
oh yeah,
there's some stuff that happened.
Yeah, that's like the cannibal holocaust of children movies or something. Like,
oh my god.
Let's just say there was no PETA warning or whatever that said, no animals were harmed in the making of this movie or whatever. Like there's nothing like that at the end of Milo and Otis. So
nope.
If that's a favorite childhood movie, just know that.
Just keep it there and don't ever revisit it or look up anything on it.
Yeah. So basically they fall in the water, the pug and the Kinmundian, and Kinmundian's kind of passed out, and they kind of like drown-ish, but the Kinmundian has another vision, and this time it's a manatee spirit that comes out and is like we told you, like, if you only go for revenge, like you will die too. Like, you need to consider the balance. You got to put aside your hatred and like this simple beast, they say. And then, they're talking about the pug. But like that was like
B is the simple beast.
Yes, that was like a warning or whatever. But and then of course the cat wolf doesn't die. He gets some dolphins and he rides away like they're skis or something. It was funny. But yeah, so cat wolf is about to attack the raft that everybody's on, the ferry, and out of nowhere comes the pug and the Kinmundian on a giant whale.
They're both riding atop a giant whale.
Yeah, and I mean, whales are already giant. This fucking whale looked really fucking big, and he crushes the cat wolf on the. I mean, I hope the dolphins are okay, but the Kinmundian doesn't really care about those, so they take him out, and and then we're kind of washed up on the beach. I don't know. Is this on the other side?
I think so. I think we're supposed to get that. I guess that wave of like the thing splashing, push them to the other edge finally.
Right. And I will say, so this is about the time I was starting to kind of like, all right, let's move this story ahead a little bit. But like, like this area, I don't know why this is here, because it doesn't really.
No, it doesn't really push the story out. Especially, so the main thing now we need to know is that, okay, to find a balance, he realizes, like, they've realized, okay, like, it's between those three things. He can't, just hate on animals. As a matter of fact,
by three things, you mean the plants, rocks, and animals.
Yeah. So he's realizing, okay, like, I have to figure out to be, okay with these animals and like work with them. Like the pug is okay with me. And then, hey, this girl is good with the plants. I guess she's obviously like a plant mage. Hopefully, like they're still kind of on the fence about that. They're like, okay, well then we need to figure out like what's next. Like, how do we get?
Well, don't they even say already? Like, didn't the manatee reveal that they need those three things?
Yes.
To then become like the ultimate thing or whatever. Like that will give them the victory. Is they will be able to do some kind of magical spell that will bring balance to everything, and you'll be able to harness all the powers against evil, kind of thing. That's what they tell him. That's what the manatee tells him. Totally. So that is kind of why I'm saying this next part is kind of doesn't have anything to do with this, other than it separates them, right? Like it causes them to separate, I believe.
Yeah.
But so they go to this village which is called Everset, and it's supposed to be like like a big kingdom kind of place. When they get there, there's just an army of dead people, and there's like a necromancer who is named the Dead Walker.
The Dead Skinwalker.
Yeah, and he looks like the lamest fucking villain from Venture Brothers. Like he looks totally like one of those off-brand villains or whatever. Like
Yeah.
just not totally there. But he can command the dead, obviously. And I thought this was the only thing I thought was funny about this is he commands like a giant ape skeleton to attack them, and then at first like you're like, oh my god, and the Kinmundian's like, go get a bone, boy, and the pug just like dismantles him because he's a dog and ape's a bone. So or
Yeah,
made
he's
of
like,
bones.
oh, I'm gonna take that bone. Oh, I'm gonna take that bone. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just see the pug like salivating as he's running with all these bones, and it's kind of funny way to beat him. Excuse my dog if you hear him in the background, but he's barking at something. I don't know what. But yeah, so then we are introduced, and this I guess is the only other important part. They kind of, I guess, become not friends, but they're like, hey, stop fucking around with us, like Necromancer. Oh, I forgot to say, we should also say that Black Sasha got hurt in that fight with the Catwolf, so she's been out of it. So they were trying to find in Everset like, oh, a doctor or whatever, and that's one of the reasons why they went there. But now that the Necromancer is like defeated, he's like, oh, didn't you want to heal her? I know how to help her. And he says like, oh, I need you to look at this real quick before we do that. And he shows them this thing called a seeing pool, which is, I guess, how you tap into the spirit realm or whatever. And when you look into this pool, it kind of shows you like, I guess, your true self.
Yeah.
So like Bryony looks into it and sees herself as like an adult, like she kind of looks like Poison Ivy or something if she was a sorceress.
Yeah, she looks powerful, but she's got like, like looks like all these like leaves around her blowing around. It looks cool.
Yeah, and Scribbly looks in and he looks like a younger version of himself. And then we don't see it, but the Kinmundian looks in and we don't know what he looks like. But then it turns out that this Necromancer is a double crosser because he kicks the Kinmundian in the well and is like, haha, like you're an idiot. And turns out that I kind of knew this when they don't show what he sees in his head when in the pool, but I got that it was probably him as a kid because he's still a child inside. He never got to have a childhood. And but as he falls into this pool, I guess the dog falls or jumps in after him, right? That's why they're together. But the pug jumps in after him, and then we see the pug just looks normal, but the Kinmundian is a child again. And then he talks to someone. Basically, they kind of his name's Menlo, and he just kind of explains what is it that like there are these people who kind of mentor the mages. What are they called? Seers, right? That's what
seers, exactly.
Yeah.
So it basically, to hone these skills, you'll probably also need to find a seer to help.
Yeah, like you can be born a beastmaster or a plant mage or a rock mage, but if you don't have the correct tutelage by a seer, and a good seer, I should say, because some of these people had seers that are evil, and they were pulled astray. It's much like being a Jedi or something. You can be pulled away to the dark side easily. So yeah, that's kind of what we find out about the history of this. And in the meantime, like the Necromancer is trying to defeat the other people that are there, or Bryony and Black Sasha's knocked out, but Scribbly and her are fighting him. And but Black Sasha wakes up right as he's about to club Bryony with a bone and takes him out. And then all of a sudden the Kinmundian bursts out of the water, and he's like, "We're here to save you!" And it's like, "Oh, it's already too late. They've been saved." So, like, I don't know how deep that pool is. It seems like maybe it's only like 2 feet deep or something, and then but they fell in, and then because he just burst out. He wasn't swimming or anything. So it's like he stands up really fast. but yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like the basic thing that happens. They just needed this scene to reveal that there's pools and whatnot.
Yeah, and the one other thing we learn, I guess, is that like that the water in the pool does heal you. It kind of makes you invulnerable to anything, but only when you're near it. So there's a weird thing that happens. So like the cat wolf has people come attack them. I guess he realizes they're there, and there's like giant mole rats that come.
Yeah.
And so because Sasha has been healed, she's like, well, I'm invincible basically now. So you guys go, and I'll hold them off here. I'll keep them like at bay and hold them off here, since I can fight all of these creatures and people now.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody else goes. Scribbly, the pug, which I forgot we didn't mention that Bryony named him Sprinkles.
Oh yes, of course. Well, what
Yeah,
else are you gonna name a pug?
What else? Yeah, and the the Kinmundian. So they write off to now basically figure out how they can make the rock, the root, and the claw. Those are the three: the beast,
Yes.
the plants, and then the rocks. Like how they can become one and and
bring them together and
Yes.
become Voltron or whatever.
I did like this last part of this episode this issue is the Cat Wolf is like, I guess he's like, well, I'm having a hard time, so I'm gonna hire some bounty hunters. It's kind of like Star Wars.
Yeah, like assassins for them.
Yeah. So and it's like this like rogues gallery of these like weird looking people. They all have like
fucking idiot looking people. There's one the weirdest looking guy is like the guy, I guess that's the most feared. I can't remember what his name is right now, but he is a man with cats all around him, and a cat tied to his head, and basically he's a controller of cat. He's like a beastmaster but of cats. And I think his name's something like Mr. Scratchy or something like that. Like, it's super lame.
It's silly.
But yeah, so I thought this was funny. I've never had a pug. Have you ever owned a pug, John?
I've never owned a pug, but okay. I've had dogs do this rolly thing too.
Yeah, there's a silly moment while they're riding on the pug in this next issue, and I guess pugs take shits and then rub all in them, because that's what this pug does. He takes a big dump and then he starts rubbing.
I've had dogs that like to rub in like things that smell bad, like dead, like a dead animal or something. So right. It's unfortunate. Sometimes some of your pets are like, oh, well, that smells nice. I think I'm gonna get a fresh fresh scent going on here.
Yeah. So that was funny, but that was kind of a distraction because they end up getting jumped by a couple ruffians that recognize, or do they recognize Scribbly, or do they just like allude that they're working for some pirate master that Scribbly used to be the pirate king or whatever or something? So
I think so. Basically, yeah, they're like, there's a pirate named Callistus, and they're like, he looks like, that guy looks familiar, like he used to be part of the team or something. Yeah, and so they jump them.
Yeah, and then they try to kidnap Bryony because they're like, oh, a mage. Catwolf said that he's looking for all these mages because he's basically trying to kill off all the mages so that he will be the last mage and the most powerful one. It's basically Highlander. Like, there can be only one. And
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Catwolf definitely has the look of the Kurgan.
The Kurgan.
He's got the skull helmet thing, and
oh yeah, for sure. They're mixing up some different IPs.
Yeah, we got Conan, we got Highlander, we got the Jeffersons.
Yes, all the things that go together well. But they try to kidnap Bryony, but she I guess they didn't realize that she can control plants without her mouth, because they're trying to like knock her out with maybe some kind of tincture or whatever, like if it was, what's that stuff called? You put on chloroform. There you go.
Yeah.
But whatever they have for that here, a sleeping potion.
Medieval chloroform.
Yeah. And they put it on a cloth. They put it over her mouth, but she's able to get a tree to attack them as she's about to pass out. And then we meet this other guy who I guess. Oh wait, was he the guy that made the plants? Oh yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, he's the one that. Yeah, they think it's her. But it's actually, there's another plant mage guy that comes in, and
his name is Layman.
He's like Gandalf, the fruity brown. He say fruity because he's got like his staff looks like a cornucopia, but like it's a staff, so it goes really far down, and it's got a bunch of fruit in it. So basically, they go back with Layman to his place, and they're gonna go to the pirate village. But first, they talk to. He has like another kind of vision, but they all see it.
Oh
They
yeah,
talk
like a
to
turtle, right? Like a big turtle.
Yeah, it's like an all-seeing giant turtle, and he's like, I told you basically, we've all been trying to tell you, you must, follow this right path. But this is where they also kind of get like, you have to like help this child too, because we have to find a balance, and she has to understand her part in this too. So it's kind of like adding like an extra step of like she's gonna be helpful to you, but like basically you guys have to figure out how to work together, but she also has to figure out like her path as well.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so we got to do this. So she's gonna figure out her part, and then he's like, okay, well, I'll go into town and I'll um you go on your path, and maybe find a rock mage guy too while you're at it on this path, and I'll go to town and find out what this pirate guy knows.
Yeah. So he goes off to Pirate Fest, which I thought was funny. They're having literally like Pirate Fest, 1999 or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
and he goes to there, and then the girl Bryony and the pug Sprinkles go on their journey. And so we start off in the village with the Pirate Fest going on. Of course, it sounds exactly like it is. There's just mayhem everywhere. Looks like a Ren Fest, but everybody's beating each other up and puking. And to blend in, I thought this was funny. The Kinmundian knocks out a dude and takes his armor. The guy looks so much smaller than him, though. Like the guy that he knocks out doesn't look very buff or anything. And then when he's wearing it, everything's super tight on him, which I thought was funny. Like he's crammed himself in these clothes and this helmet and everything. So, but he looks kind of like Conan-ish in this garb a little bit. But yeah, so basically, he runs into a couple people here. The first guy he meets is this little dude. I don't remember what Jangles, right? Jangles the Lesser.
Jangles.
And Jangles, is that or Jangles?
Jangles.
Jangles. Okay.
Yeah, like Mr. Bojangles, but just Jangles.
Yeah, and he's a very tiny man that's in a suit of armor that apparently gives him like he's immortal and indestructible, but trapped in this armor. And then this is where the Kinmundian runs into some of those assassins that Catwolf hired, and they basically start fighting them. But the Kinmundian gets taken out, and then we cut to. Oh, it also seems like Scribbly was there. He had previously gotten separated. Is that what happened? I don't remember.
Yeah, he was, because I guess the group thought they knew him, but I guess maybe got freaked out, and so he ran off. Again, he's run off a couple times. So
yeah, he does that. So he ran away when the ruffians got them in the forest, but he ran to this pirate city, and it turns out, like we said, he was a pirate, the king of pirates or whatever, but he's like undercover now, and he had given up his mantle. And so then we cut to Mr. Sprinkles and Bryony. They are on the mountain, and she's looking for a rock mage, and then she stubs her toe on a rock, and it's like, stupid rock. And then it talks back to her because she's like, blank, stupid blank, piece of rocks, blank, like, she's swearing. And the rock's like, excuse you, like, what a mouth you have on you. And then as she's talking to this rock, we turn around because she hears someone talking to her, and it is the what's his name? The Eviscerator is the name of him.
No.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
His name is Count Flufferton B. Schmoodadiddle. This is where I was like, oh my lord, that's ridiculous.
Schmoodadiddly? There you go.
Schmoodadiddly?
Yeah, but
the Eviscerator is
the cat's name.
This one cat.
Yeah. So there's a little cat that he holds in his hands, and that's the Eviscerator. And this dude is just, I guess, the man who carries around the Eviscerator. So they laugh at him, but it seems at first that he's obviously an assassin for a reason, even though he looks ridiculous. And the cat attacks, and then horribly starts mauling Layman, who's with her. And then they cut away, and we cut to back to the pirate village where Kinmundian has been captured by the pirates, and I don't know, they're just trying to like figure out if they're going to take him to Catwolf, right? That's what that's what they want to do. But then Scribbly's like, let him go. I'm Callistus, right? That's his name. Callistus?
Yeah, he says, I'm Callistus. I just been undercover because he wants Catwolf dead too, because Catwolf killed a bunch of his people. But like, I don't know. He's still like, unsure of him as well.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the cat guy, the eviscerator, and Flufferton, I guess his name. the man who holds the cats. And he's just chucking cats. That's his move. He just chucks the cats at people and they attack. So Layman is just getting attacked. The pug is getting attacked. The little girl's getting attacked, Bryony, and she's actually, even though they're on a mountain, she finds one plant root and taps into it, and then it attacks the cats. And then all of a sudden, the rock that she was talking to, turns out it's like I don't know if it's a hat or if it's the head of this dude.
I think it's a hat because it looks like he's got a little string tied under his chin.
Okay, you're right. So this rock bursts out, and it's actually a man with a rock hat on. And turns out he's a rock mage, of course, and he was meditating. And he says he's meditating because he gets angry. And at first they're like, what are we going to do? This cat, the eviscerator's like, I'm going to kill you all and horribly and everything. And then this was funny, I thought. Layman picks up his cornucopia staff and is like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm ready to I'm sick of these cats scratching my face. And and if you like cats, you might not like this part, but he creates, because he can create anything as long as plants are around. He creates a bunch of catnip and throws it over the edge of the cliff, and all the
cats follow.
Yes, all the cats follow and kill themselves. And then Mr. Flufferton's like, what? My cats? No. And then he's like, if you think I need them to kill you, you're wrong. And then the rock mage looks at him and says like, oh, look what you made me do. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then a rock comes and smashes him. So he is dead. And it turns out his name is Shale.
That was funny. His name's Shale. This is the best part here coming up, I think, as far as it touched a little.
You're going to say that just because you like wrestling.
Well, it was another weird, just out of the blue. So like Callistus or Scribbly, whoever he's going by, he's like, we're basically, you're gonna like prove yourself to me and to like the spite, and there's like a big wrestling thing going on. So they go to this like wrestling match with Mr. Jangles as well, and it gets very meta with like real world ish references. It's like Grapplemania, and then there's like two hosts talking, and it's like Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, but they can't say that exactly. So it's Jim Ross and the King, and they're like doing play-by-plays of what is going on. And so basically you have him, the Kinmundian like fight people, and he fights like this big ogre guy, Turnbuckle, and then he fights some people that kind of look like classic wrestlers, but a little more obviously in medieval style garb, like Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and stuff. And so but he's beating them and kicking the crap out of them. But then they get interrupted because they have another one of these assassins come, and this assassin come. He looks like a red bearded like Crocodile Dundee guy, and he has like these alligators come to the ring. Like
he looks like, you know what he looks like? He looks like someone that's in CCR. He looks like someone that's in Creedence Clearwater Revival, or what's that other band, the Sweet Home Alabama band?
Oh, the
Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, he should be in one of those bands, pretty much.
So yeah, so like they're about to attack, but then apparently, so like as he's like getting to attack there, Scribbly is like calling out the guy who is now in charge of all of the pirates that he used to be in charge of. And that guy's name is Colono. And he's like, you've stolen my pirate name and my all of my leadership here. Come out and face the true Callistus. And he says, come out and face your son. And dun, dun, we see one of the big reveals is that this head of all the pirates and all the horrible people here is none other than the father that went away to hunt before that big seal attacked. He's the Kinmundian's dad.
Yes. So big reveal. The Kinmundian has a dad, or we knew that he had a dad, but we thought he was dead.
Yeah,
he was not. He apparently survived, and he was a dick anyway when he was a kid. So now he doesn't give a fuck about his son either. And the Kinmundian gets so mad about this that he takes the little, what's his name? The little guy.
Oh, Jangles. Yeah, he takes him and like whips him around.
Yeah, and just beats the shit out of the CCR looking dude and all
And
the
his
beasts
gators.
and his gators that he sicked on him. And but they are captured in the end and left because Catwolf said, or no, he's not working for Catwolf, right? He's trying to get power from Catwolf too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the dad, he's like another like big dude that's trying to take over as much as he can. And
yeah, I think basically he'll be like, yeah, Catwolf and I like have an understanding. Like, I'm not gonna like, I'll probably kill him eventually too, but like for now, like, yeah, this is how it's gonna be because these assassins are here and they only want you, so they're not gonna mess with me. Like, we're gonna take you guys out.
Right. And so they bring them, and when I say them, I mean Scribbly and the Kinmundian, and they tie them to a rock to be killed by birds and whatnot. And yeah, we just get a little reveal about how everything happened, like how the dad survived and all this stuff. He tells them, but when he's talking, the Kinmundian is like, "Oh, look, the birds are here for their dinner," and the Kinmundian's like, "Oh, I know." And all of a sudden, these fucking birds, these giant vultures, just kill the dad. They like, because he's a beastmaster. So the Kinmundian tells him, yeah, kill that guy. And so
kill them. Yeah.
They literally like eat the dude's fucking face. And then they pick the lock, which I thought was funny. Somehow the bird beaks can pick locks of chains and they peck it. They peck it to death, or they peck it till it's broken. And he's like, "Goodbye, father." And he leaves Scribbly on the rock because he feels betrayed by Scribbly being Callistos. So he's like, "I'm not going to kill you, but I'll just leave you here to die," kind of thing. So he leaves him and he starts to walk into the desert where he is found by some people who have some familiar tattoos that we've seen before. It turns out these people are actually related to the woman who's telling the story. Her name's Maul, right?
Maul. Yeah, I don't remember if we mentioned that. Yeah, Maul. Moll. Her name is Maul. She's in the top tower of this kingdom, and apparently that's where the Kinmundian is ending up. Is this same place where these people are, which we don't know much about them yet. But
but they are the Seers actually. Like this is the race of Seers. They're at this place. And it turns out the Seers just walk. They're a nudist colony, basically. Yep. They walk around naked, which the Kinmundian wakes up in this like weird rock room, and is greeted by a very naked woman, who's like, "Hi, I'm Larota, and we walk around naked all the time." So she introduces him to the city of Metamora, where these Seers live, and
that's where Menlo is from.
Yeah, and that's where Menlo, who was in the fountain or the visions. Pool or whatever, the vision pool. Basically, he's the guy that's been giving him all the visions about like how to keep balance of powers and all that stuff. And they also saved Scribbly as well. Like they pulled him for the rock while they were over there. So that's basically like what they set up. That okay, they're at this place. There's a pool there. They find out a little history of. There was a man who tried to be the seer for Catwolf and actually this dude was evil, and
his name was Zern, and he basically he helped Catwolf get all this power, but then he also was corrupted and became evil too.
Yes. So in the meantime, Catwolf is actually going to attack what that city, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called,
Metamora.
Yeah, Metamora. There you go. Because they're like, he's got everybody he needs now, because he's actually looking for the same things. They don't ever say this until the end, but he's actually looking for the same things, which is why he was collecting mages. He needs a plant mage, he needs a rock mage, and then he's the beast mage, and then they need a seer pool to do the Voltron, but they're going to do an evil Voltron. So so they're trying to do that, and he finally is like, wait a second, instead of trying to go to that pool all the way back there, why don't we just go to Metamora, which is much closer, and there's a pool there. So they're all supposed to meet in the same spot that the Kinmundian is, but no one knows the Kinmundian's there. And and then in the meantime, the little girl, Bryony, and I always want to say Brienne or whatever from Game of Thrones, whatever.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah. But the pug and
Shale and
everybody, all the people. There's so many fucking people now that we've met. And
Mr. Jangles. Good.
And Mr. Jangles. Yeah, there you go. That's the little guy's name. And Layman. They're all walking in the desert towards the city, and Cat Wolf meets them in the battlefield, and actually they are being attacked by, I think, the assassins, right? That's who are trying to attack them.
Yeah.
And so the assassins are going after them while Cat Wolf is attacking the city of naked people, and he's attacking the city of naked people with a giant koala. And the Kinmundian's like, oh, no problem. You guys got any big rocks? And then it cuts away. And then while the giant koala is attacking, you just see a giant rock on top of a ledge above this koala's head. And he pushes the rock and smashes the koala's head. And
yeah, so he has a weird back and forth. Sometimes he's like, no, I will control the animals. And then sometimes it's like, I feel like, I guess it's because Cat Wolf is so powerful that he's like, well, maybe I can't, when Cat Wolf is there, I can't take over the animals, so we'll just kill it.
Yeah, it just seems like, and also he doesn't like the animals, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of a thing that's been in his mind too. He just doesn't like the big animals, except the pug. And even that one, he's like, yeah, all right, I guess I'll be good since he's not tried to kill me yet. But I thought this was funny. He just picks up, there's a whole army there, and Cat Wolf's like, what are you gonna do? There's so many of us and not enough of you. And the Kinmundian's like, less talk, more rock. And he just jumps at them off the cliff with a bunch of rocks in his hands and just starts beating people with rocks, which I thought was funny. And yeah, they just have this big epic fight where actually the Cat Wolf has his giant cat, and he's tells the cat to jump on the Kinmundian, but the Kinmundian uses his powers to have the cat run away and buck up and throw Cat Wolf onto the ground. So then they have a big fight where Cat Wolf actually stabs the Kinmundian through the chest or gut upwards. So very, very mortal wound. But just in time, as he's dying on the ground, the pug and Bryony and what's the little guy's name again? Mr. Jangles.
Mr. Jangles.
See, there's too many names and they're all weird. I never remember who they are, but
they all come running in.
They all come running in, and as you're thinking, oh, they're gonna kill all these people, and then Cat Wolf's like, archers, and then as they're running, they just get all shot by arrows. You see the pug gets a bunch of arrows in his ass, which is funny. I thought it was funny also. They always show the pug's butthole.
Yes.
Whenever they show his butt, you got to see his butthole. So, and then Cat Wolf is doing, he's finally moving into the room with the pool, the seer pool, and he starts doing the magic, or it's his guy Zern, right? So Zern is his seer, the evil seer that trained him. So that seer starts doing some of the magic, but then it kind of turns out that he's evil, obviously.
Yeah, and
so
he actually wants the power for himself.
Yeah, so he's like, fuck you, Cat Wolf. I want it. And so he's doing the spell, and then he says, give me your power, and Cat Wolf's like, me. And so he ends up betraying him, And I don't remember how does the Kinmundian is able to pull
It's
pull the sword out, right?
Yeah, and that's because of Menlo. Menlo like appears to him like Obi-Wan. He's like, I'm gonna give you one final gift. This is basically all that he has left in of his, you know, I guess Menlo is part of the ether, part of the seeing stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. So as they're
like,
doing that spell, he's like his last effort to help everybody, to save everybody, to save his daughter, we should say, because it turns out the girl who's telling the story, Maul, isn't in this town. She's in another town, and we need him to save her, right? That's the
no, she's in this town.
Oh, she's in this town. Okay.
Yeah, she's
for some reason I thought it was a different town. You're right.
Yeah, her name is and he basically puts his essence into his body and is like, I will, help revive you from this mortal wound. You have to save my daughter, Maul.
Yeah. So that's why
the naked chick from the beginning.
Exactly. So she's telling the story. I don't know how she knows all these details if she's telling the story. So
I guess she's a seer, so she's seeing this all happen. I assume that means she's really powerful. That's what I got from it. But yeah, it's a little vague on that. But I did like the pug still didn't die. Like he got all these arrows in him, but he's still like running around and he's just eating.
Yeah, he's murdering all these people, these soldiers. So he's doing a good job.
This is where it's like that balance is it's like it's bloody. Like he is literally like chomping people in half and like eating them like a dinosaur or something.
And they're like, "Oh my God, dear Lord, kill it, kill it!" And the Kinmundian's like, "Good boy." Like,
good boy.
So now that everybody's fighting with these soldiers, and then all of a sudden this giant monster bursts out, and it's Zern who's got this power of all the stuff together or whatever. Now, like it's his evil Voltron, we'll say.
He's a giant flaming devil monster with a sword, machete made out of fire. That's like I guess it's one thing that Maul had said at the beginning of the story, and one of the dogs is getting impatient for that creature to appear. Well, it does.
Yes. So in the end, they're like, well, we have what we need too. We have a plant mage, a rock mage, and a beastmaster. And so they're like, we could do our spell and come up with our own, Voltron, basically. So they do a spell to keep the balance of everything, and they use the pug as like the conduit. So the pug gets Voltron, we'll say.
Looks like what?
Yeah, the pug's like, and then he runs out of this place and is like, it's weird. He looks like a rock covered dog that's got a bunch of plants wrapped around, like vines wrapped around him, and his tail is a vine. And so this is the true Battlepug, like the
it reminded me of, do you remember that game, The Shadows of the Colossus?
Yes.
That's what
he does. He looks like he does.
Well, yeah, because like now, like he was already a giant pug before that he was riding on, but now he's like the size of like a mountain, with all of the rocks and stuff flowing through him and on him. And yeah, this is fun. It's a fun. They have like a big Rita's like, make my monster grow, and Zoran grows to this giant thing, and then they're like, now we have to combine our powers, and then they make a Voltron Zord out of the pug. And they have their big Power Rangers battle.
Yeah, and they have the battle, and much like Power Rangers, eventually the pug gets stabbed. And it's like the pug gets stabbed, but it's like a magical sword, so the pug doesn't actually get stabbed. But it's like, it's hurting them all magically. And as it's kind of going badly, all of a sudden, everybody who's ever been in the book shows up with an army, and mainly led by Black Sonia, and she's like, "I'm here to get my daughter back." And so she's riding on a salamander. Everybody's riding, fucking animals and shit. And basically, they end up bursting. Like they end up separating from the pug, like all three in the pug, and because the Kinmundian's like, I have an idea. I have this thing I learned from the king of the Northland elves, which I'm like, really? He taught you how to Voltron all these things and burst out. But hey, you know what? It's Battlepug.
It's a Battlepug.
We're not looking at it too hard here. But basically what they do is they separate to where the Kinmundian bursts out of this giant rock pug with Battlepug himself riding him. And every time they show Battlepug in battle, he's like snort, like
he just looks so goofy. You know, his eyes are either cross-eyed or just big and bulging, and
yeah. But basically, what they do is they pretend like they're being hurt really bad, and then it's called like they feign weakness or whatever, and it just to throw him off balance. And then the pug pushes him over, and I guess they use the pug and the magic to blow up his head. I guess it's not 100% exactly what happens here, but it's the killing blow.
I think he jumps through the head and like basically like cuts it from the inside or something,
right?
Or makes it blow up.
Yeah. So the bad guy's head explodes, and that's how they defeat him. We should say, that was how they defeated Zern. This is not Catwolf.
Yeah.
Because Catwolf isn't dead. He actually makes it all the way to the tower. And this is as we're like, being told this story by Maul. He comes into her window and he gets into her room and the dogs attack him. And by the dogs, we mean Callista, or no, what's the dog's name? Colfax and Mingo. Mingo. And so Mingo tries to attack him and Catwolf kicks him and he gets hurt. And then Colfax is like, "Oh my God, I'm the only one who can hit him or whatever." And it tries to attack Catwolf, and Colfax is hit, and he actually gets hit out of a window, and you think he's dead.
Yeah.
But luckily, the Kinmundian was already right outside the window and caught him. And then they fight each other, and as they're kind of fighting each other, they fall out of the tower. They land in the streets below, and as Catwolf is about to do like a killing blow on the Kinmundian, the Battlepug shows up, Mr. Sprinkles.
Yeah.
And eats him.
He does. Yeah, he just chomps all the way down on him.
Yeah. And he's like, "You think I can't command this beast?" And he says, like, I command you to rend him asunder. He's talking about the Kinmundian. He's talking to Battlepug. And he's like, "You can't command him. Like, you just have to ask him nicely." And then he's like, "Please, will you attack Catwolf?" And then like the pug bites him and like eats him whole.
That's true. I like that. That's fun. It's like, so that's like the main difference between them in the balancing act is like he's commanding the animals, whereas the Kinmundian's like, "No, like you have to be one with them and like you just ask them nicely."
Yeah.
So that's a nice moral.
Sure. So that's the end of it pretty much. Like it wraps up where it turns out that Maul, the person who was telling the story the whole time, is actually the Kinmundian's chosen seer. So they are like, united for the first time, and she's going to help him with his gift.
Oh, they're going to be united.
Oh, they're going to unite. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
hard. They're going to unite hard.
We get their silhouettes, and it's very much like, well, we know what's about to happen here.
I've read enough Conan comics. I know what's about to happen. So, and then they kind of give like a history of everything that happens. Basically, Black Sasha is the king, runs the kingdom, and she has her daughter who's now, since she's a mage, has a seer, and everybody just gets a happy ending basically. So, and then him and the pug, the Kinmundian and the pug, and Maul and her pugs, and I guess the Frenchie and the pug, Colfax and Mingo, they ride off into the sunset with Battlepug.
Yes, it's not the end, it's just the beginning.
Yes. One thing that was funny was on their journey, they did find a giant mountain that had the shape of a pug's head carved into it, kind of like Mount Rushmore. And then there was like a collar with some writing on it, like on the tag. And, you didn't know what the writing was because it's some kind of language. But then it turns out what it actually says is "Lost dog. If found, please contact Siglund of the Iceborne Mountains." So it turns out Battlepug is actually owned by someone, probably. And this family is constantly looking for him. So,
so they carved a lost dog thing into the side of a mountain, basically.
Yeah, and they're giants. They're like gigantic looking people. So
yeah,
that's why their dog he's
it's a
not one
normal
of
sized
the
dog for
yeah
them.
yes exactly. He's not a giant beast. Actually, he's just a regular pug for them. So so, and that is the end of Battlepug. John, what would you give it? What did you think?
You know, like I said, it kind of was that weird borderline because sometimes some of the jokes were really corny and really kiddie, and you know some of the names were Mr. Snufflepuss, whatever whatever that guy's name was again.
Right.
Like some of them were a little ridiculous, but then sometimes it had me laughing, and like I guess it's that member berry thing is where it's kind of like it's bringing up things that are a little nostalgic and a little fun that would be like, oh, okay, that's kind of funny. Like I don't know why it's in here, but like it's fun.
Right.
So I will say the main idea of this of that there's giant creatures, so there's like these beast masters, there's plant masters, and then people that control like the rock, the earth. I did like that, like the main core concept. That I know it's kind of been done before, but like I like the fit of it. I love any kind of animal story usually, and like the giant animals is fun. Is it kind of gives them a little more, like in Lord of the Rings, like that's at least like in the books it's a little more drawn out, but like especially in the movies, like it's just little tidbits here and there. But I like that we kind of got a little bit more of the animals in this and like their part in like the world, and like so they're not necessarily bad, but it's like about finding that balance and like not controlling them but like living with them. And so like that underlying story I liked, and that was fun. I like the Conan references. You've got me into Conan, so like the main character being that Conan-esque badass warrior was fun. And every time that like it was like focused on him and his stories with it, I loved like him being a slave and then like being free and then being like, oh yeah, I'm free, and burning the place down.
Yeah.
Him being like, like I don't need people, like I'm gonna do this on my own. But then the dog kind of like him like kind of being knocked down a peg and be like, okay, maybe this dog's cool. Okay, even though I don't like the big creatures, like maybe I'll work with him. So like the little things like that, his main story, I really enjoyed that. Some of the side stuff was okay. Sometimes it was funny. Sometimes it was a little like you said, like, let's get on with this. The necromancer, I don't care about this, like
Yeah.
I get what we were getting to, but it seems a little more drawn out to get to the singing pool and stuff. But
yeah, the necromancer and the pirate one, I was kind of like, all right, let's get to the main story. Like,
yeah, like even like I like the wrestling part because I'm a fan of wrestling, but it definitely was like pulled out of nowhere in this story. I was like, okay, but overall, I like the story. It was fun. It could have been a little more concise, a little more. The Compugdium could have been a little more, I think, drawn down. But overall, I liked it. I would probably give it a 6. Like it was fun. I had a good time with it. I'm a sucker for big animals and pugs in general, so they already pulled me in a little bit with that. But yeah, I liked it. The art is fun. Like the art was consistent all the way through, and bloodier than I expected it to be when it needed to. And
yeah,
and just on the border of seeing TNA when it needed to. So
sure,
it was fun.
That's John's favorite part, actually. Like he gave an extra point for that, for the movie. Cool. So you gave it a 6. I think I'm gonna give it a 6 too. I did get bogged down a little bit in the with some of the side characters' stories, like Layman. I'm like, okay, why is this guy here? Then what's the one I can't even remember his name? The tiny one that's in with the wrestler.
Jangles.
And Jangles, yeah, there you go. See, I don't even care to remember what his name is because I just got so bogged down. It was like hard to get through some of those parts. But the main story overall I thought was fun. I thought everything with the pug was funny. And yeah, just like you said, the main story overall was good. I did think if they didn't have them be nude, if they didn't have the seers be nude, like this would be a definite like kids book, even with the blood, because it's kind of cartoony, it could be like a book for like tweens or something, but because there's like a little bit of nudity or like just people are naked in it and stuff, it's weird that he would do that. Maybe he did it because, like I said, it was a internet like a web comic at first, so he's just like,
Yeah.
oh, no one's gonna see this or whatever. It's my idea. But then like the marketability of it becomes something when you actually put it in a book form and sell it in stores. So
exactly, because some kid walking by sees this
a pug,
this big man, and on top of this giant goofy looking pug is like, Mom, I want to read that. And then if it's one of those where the kid's like, it's bordering of like, maybe you're being a little protective still or something, and you open that up and the first page is of a woman sitting on her bed, you can see her whole ass, and talking to dogs is like, whoa, is this for kids? Like, so yeah, I could see that. It's like you said, it's kind of muddy in the water exactly like of where this one falls.
Yeah, I think it would have been good. Like it kind of has an epic feel like Bone or something. So if it was more like that, where like you could have like little jokes, like you could keep all the jokes in here, you keep all that stuff. It's just the nudity that I was like, all right. It's weird that like this is happening and it just seems like it's for no reason. Like it just, oh yeah, they're naked all the time. That's just something I'm gonna do.
Okay. Just the naked people.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's my only like critique of the. It's not of the story, but of like why is this happening? Everything else, like I could see, like, oh, you're just having a fun web comic and it's drawn out a little bit, and you're kind of meandering through some of these storylines. It kind of feels like a D&D story in that way. Like sometimes, like whenever I would play D&D and we weren't fighting, I'm like, do we have to go to another town and talk to people? And some people love that shit in D&D, and I'm like, why? We're just talking. I'm literally only built for fighting, my character. So when we're not doing anything, I have like no word skills or anything. So if I talk, I literally like lose money or whatever, or lose, a sword, I'll fall to my hands or something. So like, might as well just be always fighting is like is what I would like to see. So it seemed like some people, maybe him, the writer of this, like those kind of meandering stories or something, because he had a couple areas where it's meandering. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was fun. And yeah, I give this to like I said, a teenager or something, and they could have fun with it. And yeah, so we both give it a 6. Next week, I talked to John about this. We're gonna switch up our format a little bit, because normally we talk about books that we want to read or that we have read before that we liked and we want you guys to hear about. And next week, we're going to talk about a manga that I read this week that was, to me, one of the worst books I've read as far as manga goes. Actually, comics. It's one of the worst comics I've read. So I was like, John, we have to read this and talk about it because it's terrible. And it's so terrible that I was like, let's read it and talk about it. So we're reading the manga Fire Punch Volume 1. I apologize if you love this manga. You're allowed to do that. That's fine. We have different opinions. So, all power to you for liking what you like. But I thought it was ridiculous. And I want to see if John thinks it's also as ridiculous. And then we can have a nice talk about it.
We'll caveat that is like one of Matt and I's earliest things was like that bonded us is we love watching really bad like cult movies. Like they're just so bad they're good.
Yeah, like The Room or Samurai Cop or
exactly.
Showgirls.
So when Matt said that he came across a comic like that, I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. I'm fine.
Yeah,
we don't have to always read the best stuff. Like I'm down for like so bad it's it's good. But I'll wait to judge because I don't know that yet.
For sure, you might love it or something. So I don't know, but it would be at least fun to talk about and fun to discuss. And who knows, maybe this will become our thing, and we'll just have to find weird, so bad they're funny or horrible to talk about comics or something. So
yeah.
But
if you guys like that, maybe that'll be another a special thing we'll do. Yeah,
there's a couple that we could pick for sure that I've read. So, and I'm sure there's lots of comics and manga out there to do this too. So, with that being said, don't forget to support our coffee page if you feel like it and you like what you hear all the time, every week, all the content. We do really appreciate anybody who supports us, much like Otaku Mike, who decided to become a blue and gold tier member, and which is why we did Battlepug this week. So remember, if you want us to do something that you've been listening to our podcast forever and you're like, I can't believe they haven't fucking read this book. It's my favorite thing. We will read it. If you join one of our tiers, actually either of our tiers, you get to give us a suggestion. So, but I should say the second tier we have is if you like Matt's minis for Swamp Thing, definitely check out our other tier, which is Matt Mini's Hellblazer. I'm reading through all the issues of Hellblazer. I'm on issue 4 now, and you get access to the whole archive on both YouTube and on MP3. And yeah, I'm just doing what I do with Swamp Thing, but I'm trying to read them in tandem with Swamp Thing because I think they overlap a little bit, at least at the beginning. So we're gonna, keep it going every week, and hopefully I'll get through all of those issues. Let's see, there's 300 of those, so in the next 5 years, we'll be finished with that. So
so stick around, folks.
So stick around. So lot to come, but and also with the new year, we're hoping if we get some more people donating and or becoming tier members, we are definitely looking to do some more things. I was thinking about doing a Spawn Matt's Minis. Also, we were talking about doing a extreme 90s comics like minis where me and John both talk about terrible 90s comics, or what are possibly terrible comics that are from the 90s. Those extreme comics that are laughably ridiculous looking, or storylines that we know are supposed to be bad from the 90s. We're going to read those and talk about them together in little mini formats. So
yeah, might even we talked about doing some reactions too, like to some of those shows, like the Batman animated, or the X-Men show.
Yeah, X-Men, Swamp Thing show, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We might put a poll up and see what you guys want to see. But we want to do these things. It definitely takes time and effort. So we will kind of hold off until we start seeing some traction on some of those other tiers that we have already, or more donations, like single donations or whatever. So be sure to check that out and support us if you would like to. It is at ko-fi.com/Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word. And ko-fi is coffee for all you. So if you ever heard buy us a coffee, that's what they're talking about. So yeah, so if you guys would do that, we love you guys so much for all your support. Thank you, and thanks for listening, and we will see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.